This episode of the Beauty by ABIC podcast is brought to you by the Aesthetic and Beauty Industry Council. Hello and welcome to the Beauty by ABIC podcast, your online support community for the aesthetic and beauty industry. Here, we are strengthening and unifying the industry through representation, innovation, and education. This is a platform created and dedicated to the aesthetic and beauty industry, valuing unity and advancement. We serve to represent, support, and inspire you by connecting you with industry experts, expanding your knowledge through educational pieces, and bringing you the latest industry news. This is Beauty by ABIC. Today's guest is Alexandra Kierdorf-Robinson from Physiologic. Hailing from Sweden, Alexandra relocated to Australia in 2010, pursuing her love of the health and wellness industry. She is a Swedish-qualified physiotherapist, personal trainer, cover model, group fitness instructor, online coach, and yoga teacher. Her 17-year career has been vast indeed. More recently, Alex has become a proud member of the Les Mills Asia Pacific family. Hand-selected as a national presenter, she's a Reebok-sponsored athlete and an ambassador for Parkinson's Queensland, supporting people in the community with Parkinson's disease. Alex regularly hosts immersive full-day yoga retreats, welcoming guests of all levels and abilities, encouraging them to explore movement, mindfulness, and empowerment through breathwork, meditation, and posture workshops. Alex is passionate about sharing her knowledge and helping clients rehabilitate and prevent injuries through training techniques based on physiotherapy. Having dealt with a variety of personal injuries throughout her career, Alex knows firsthand the impact an injury can have on your life. She is a firm believer that physical activity is the best medicine for a variety of illnesses and conditions of the human body. Through movement, we can prevent, improve, and heal hundreds of conditions in our musculoskeletal, neurological, and cardiovascular systems, while addressing a variety of mental and emotional health concerns as well. From Physiologic, today we welcome Alexandra Kierdorf-Robinson. Welcome to the podcast, Alex.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so lovely to have you. Today we're talking about physical health and how, especially in the beauty and aesthetic profession, we can benefit from movement and exercise. But before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be in the physiotherapy and health field?
Yes, thank you. Yes, well, originally I'm from Sweden, as you might be able to hear, and I've really always been into training and health and fitness and well-being, but it was back in Sweden that I decided to become a physiotherapist, and back in Sweden where I did my first group fitness qualification, started teaching freestyle classes. And then, moving to Australia, I got qualified in a range of different classes and became a personal trainer. So, at the moment, working about half my time as a trainer in a physio clinic and about half my time teaching yoga classes, body power, RPM, and body balance classes. So it's a good field to be in, and I'm happy I made the choice back about 15, 20 years or so ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Gosh, you must have fun in your days doing yoga and socializing and helping people become physically healthy and physically fit. Let's start off with the first question, talking about physical health. Can you define for us the term physical health?
Absolutely. Well, I think there are really three aspects to physical health. You have strength, flexibility, and also cardiovascular fitness. So strength is obviously, training our muscles to become bigger and stronger, which we all need. And that could be doing body weight exercises or going to the gym, whatever we enjoy. Flexibility would be to increase and optimize really the range of motion in our joints through stretching and mobility work. things like yoga. And then you have cardiovascular fitness, which is obviously our cardio work, where we might go for walks or runs or swimming or spin classes, whatever we enjoy there. We start lacking in one of those areas, then our health won't be. For example, if you have poor flexibility, that might increase your risk of injury. Or, if your cardiovascular fitness isn't amazing, then perhaps you'll be low on energy through your days. If your strength is lacking, then you might find it hard to complete a day's work, or get through daily tasks as well as you potentially could have if you were stronger.
Some of us hear the word exercise and we automatically think, oh, this is a chore, or we make excuses. We know it's good for us, but then often it falls to the bottom of the priority list for some people. Tell us, what are some of the common barriers when it comes to exercise?
Of course. I think a big barrier there is lack of time. Especially, in you guys' industry, you'd be working long hours, just like we do in the fitness industry, and lack of time could be a big one. I also think that lack of energy or perhaps motivation after big days or before work could be a barrier. Perhaps people are a bit fearful of injuring themselves, or it could also be an expense thing.
Yeah, I actually think the time factor is a big one in our industry. We tend to work late. Sometimes we work until 9 o'clock. Then we wake up in the morning and start again at 9 a.m. So how to fit exercise into your day is a little bit difficult. Do you have any suggestions on how we can actually do that?
Well, I think you must suit it to work with your lifestyle and your working hours, and it needs to be convenient to you. So perhaps driving to a gym after work and it's late at night, and that's not going to be very motivating or fun for anyone. So perhaps then one could do a little home workout following a program online. Perhaps even doing a quick walk outside before work could be another option.
And so what sorts of injuries do you see from people working within the aesthetics and beauty industry, those who probably don't actually spend time to strengthen their body?
I have a few clients that work in the beauty and aesthetics industry, and definitely what I'm seeing is upper body complaints, neck, back pain, maybe shoulder stuff going on. So it can be things like nerve impingements in the shoulder or neck, tension, headaches, shoulder mobility issues. So these type of injuries can really inhibit your range of motion and can cause further issues, of course, like poor sleep and fatigue. So I think anyone, when you're doing work that involves standing over clients, like beauty and massage therapists do, or even office workers who tend to kind of hunch over keyboards or laptops, you're really to these types of injuries.
It's so important to care for your spine, but especially in the beauty and aesthetics industry. And we know that proper alignment and postural imbalances can actually cause long-term issues. Can you tell us a little bit about preventing these or even correcting these when we have them?
Absolutely. It's important to perhaps just have a reflection of what your posture is normally like when you do work. Say you might have to stand over someone all day, which means a slight flexion of the upper back, a lot of work involving the chest and the arms. That's always going to make us tight in the front and weaken the back of the body. So I think it's important then to think about strengthening the back and stretching the front to kind of counteract what it is that we normally do. So things like stretching with both arms up at 90 degrees in a doorway to stretch your chest, perhaps if you have time in between clients, or it could be doing the opposite movement of bending forward, which would be, say, like we say in yoga, a sphinx pose or an upward dog, where you're on your belly and you push up either onto your hands or up onto your elbows. And any exercises really involving strengthening the back, like seated rows in a gym or a dumbbell row or any rowing type of motion, which can even be done at home with a resistance band. to really help open up the front and strengthen the back, which is the opposite of what we normally do in our daily work.
Those elastic bands, the strength bands, are excellent, especially for people who are time poor and can't get to the gym. It doesn't seem like there's much resistance there, but, you know, through repetition, you can really get a good workout, can't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, they can be really hard work. And as you get stronger, you can buy a stronger and thicker band as well. Work your way up the ladder with the resistance.
And what about people who actually not just bend over the client or bend forward, but also holding a modality, a heavy laser piece or a heavy IPL piece?
Absolutely. I think that perhaps one way of thinking of it is to really work on the strength. So trying to do resistance band exercises or exercises at the gym with dumbbells or equipment to keep that joint really strong and really safe. Like say it's your shoulder joint, often we're lifting things forward or, you know, over a client, and then it's important to keep the back of the shoulder strong as well as the upper and lower back. So training those muscles. And I know it's hard when you have a certain way of doing things, but could there even be an opportunity to even out the workload and if you're right-handed and you always use your right hand, could there be things that you do with your left hand as well to just take perhaps a few % of the load off every day, off that right arm that you would normally use?
That's a good idea, to learn how to treat using both arms. And another thing, if you're right-handed and you use your right hand quite a lot to hold a laser device or a heavy modality, should you be working out that arm more than the other arm?
Well, I think it's probably good to just keep the work the same on both sides, just training both sides at the same time. You know, if you're doing a row, just row with both arms at the same time. If you do a tricep exercise, do it with both arms at the same time, and then you'll get the benefit, you know, all over.
Right, makes sense. And so let's switch gears. Self-care. Self-care is part of physical well-being, and looking after yourself and being in tune with your own body is part of the holistic way that you would look after your physical health.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, I know in my line of work, you give a lot of energy to clients, and of course, this will be the same in your industry, in the beauty industry, that you always seem to give energy to people. And this can be quite draining doing that day after day. And at the end of the day, you might feel, gosh, you know, you're a bit tired and you really don't want to talk to anyone. And so I think not only on a physical level, but on a mental and energetic level and emotional level, one needs to look after oneself. And that can, of course, be done through being mindful throughout your working day, perhaps to take a few moments to yourself, moments of silence, moments to just check in and maybe breathe, even if it's just for a few breaths, to kind of reset yourself and make sure that you're present and that you're looking after yourself and listening to your body. And maybe be mindful of your breath as well, to just check in what your breath is like throughout the day. If it's really kind of ragged and short and shallow, then trying to deepen that breath, just to be aware of where your mind is at and how you're feeling energetically, because it can be draining.
The Aesthetic and Beauty Industry Council is Australia's peak industry body, representing the collective professional beauty and aesthetic, salon, clinic and spa community. Created for the industry, by the industry, our council is a collaboration of industry leaders who bring their commitment and specialised skills to raise industry standards, guide regulation and be a strong voice to government. At ABIC, our purpose is to provide an accessible and supportive organisation for the betterment of the professional beauty and aesthetic field, to enhance working practices and promote unity across the various sectors of the industry. ABIC's mission also includes being a trusted source of referral, education and guidance for clients of the beauty and aesthetic profession. ABIC is here to support our members through an extensive offering, including hundreds of valuable resources, HR support, and industry expert facilitators to ensure your continued growth and success. Join us today and together let's safeguard the future of the beauty and aesthetic industry. Find us at www.theabic.org.au. At ABIC, we are here for you.
I think if there's time, perhaps on a lunch break, to just take, I don't know, it could even be just 1 minute or 3 minutes. There could be just a silent space where you could sit and take time to yourself to meditate, to breathe, or maybe you have a little podcast or a little thing to listen to online, or even some relaxing music that you could take time for yourself. Otherwise, I always, of course, recommend yoga classes, which could happen before or after work or whenever your days off are. And these can be hugely beneficial. Just taking an hour out of our week to go to yoga or any mindfulness class, and resetting the mind and finding our center again.
Even just once a week makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It really does. And I think it's important also not to put that pressure on yourself. Okay, now I have to train every day, and I have to be mindful every day, and I have to be great with my food, and not doing everything at once. Perhaps we can just start with one little thing and then build from there.
I think that's really important to remember, because if you put too much pressure on yourself to make big sudden changes, and many of them in your life, you don't tend to stick to any of them. And even taking that time, I love how you said 1 minute, listen to a calming podcast or some calming music during the day. I think people underestimate the power of just sitting for a minute still in a busy day and, on purpose, recharging yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think also, I catch myself doing this all the time also, that you just have a quick look at your phone and all of a sudden you spend 15 minutes on Instagram, wasting so much time, or whatever it is that you've been doing on your phone, doing mindless things, where you could rather have just sat down and put the phone away and just be present in the moment. I think a lot of us spend a lot of time on our screens, and potentially just cutting that down by a few minutes a day could free up that extra time that we could take to look after ourselves.
You're onto something there, because a lot of us say we're time poor, but we absolutely do have time to get on our phones and social media. I think our phones and technology has sped things up for us, but it also has created gaps in the day that we fill with mindless activities. And one of the things you said that I loved was about being mindful. So can you tell us a couple of mindful activities that we can do? I know people sometimes draw.
I think it comes down to what works for the individual, really. Whatever works for you as a person, that you find mindful and that you find relaxing. Some people like coloring in, or some people like drawing, some people like just sitting and listening to the breath, or if that's a bit too challenging, maybe doing a guided meditation. There's lots of free guided meditations online on Spotify and podcasts and things like that. Or it could just be as simple as going outside for a few moments, breathe some fresh air, go for a tiny little walk around the block, and just look around at your surroundings, feel the fresh air and on your face, and just taking a moment to look around and appreciate where you are. And it could look like many different things, really. It depends on the individual and what we enjoy.
I've seen a couple of 5-minute guided meditations. I think they're really great. I've done a couple of them, and they really do work. It changes not just your mind, but your posture, the way you come out of those meditations feeling just different in your body. I think it actually changes the way that the rest of your day goes.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think in your industry, like I said, you give so much energy to people, and you can think of it almost as you're draining your own battery. Whereas if you just take a few moments and feeling that energy return back to you, then it's almost like you're recharging your own battery.
We do give a lot of emotional energy and physical energy, even in the consultation process, listening to the client, trying to understand what is happening with their skin, and emotionally with the client as well, because there's a lot of connection between the mind and the body and the skin, and trying to ascertain those things, and then being empathetic, being caring, giving of your mind, but then also giving of your body. It can actually be quite draining. So it's really nice to take that pause of a couple of minutes between each client and just do those deep breaths. Even if you do 3 or 4 of those, count in for 8, hold for 8, and then breathe out for 8.
Yeah, whatever count feels good. Perhaps if you've never done that type of breathing before, it could even be inhale for 3, hold for 3, exhale for 3, and then build on it as you feel more and more confident, and as you start to get used to it, then build on it. Really peaceful and easy. So breath work should never feel like it causes you frustration or agitation. Just always make it in a timing that suits you.
And if you're a business owner and you're listening to this podcast, it's really important that you spend some time thinking about your team, and if they do have time in their day, to be a little bit mindful, to look after themselves, to look after their posture, because you get a healthier, fitter team that does a better job, that can look after your clients better, has less injuries, will perform better and succeed better if you factor in that time to really care for your staff during the day. As a business owner, what could you do to make time for those things during the day, do you think, Alex?
I think the note that you're touching on there, it's such a great idea and important for business owners to be aware of the benefits of health and wellness and fitness for staff. I mean, it's even been shown scientifically that if you were, I mean, this is a big call, but if one was to allow the staff to train for 1 hour during the 8-hour working day, they will actually be more productive in the other 7 hours than if they just worked for 8 hours. So
really, train as in exercise?
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing how good exercise is for us, and not only for our body, but how it improves our focus and our concentration and our memory. So we actually work our brain really well by doing physical exercise. But
that's super cool. I did not know that. So hold on. If I block out, I have clinics. If I block out a lunch and then a half an hour walk 3 times a week or something that is mandatory, all my staff need to go, you're saying they'll perform better?
Yes, they will.
I love that, Alex. I'm going to try it and I'll let you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll recommend a book to you. It's called The Happy Pill, and it's written by a neurologist called Anders Hansen. So the book is The Happy Pill, and it talks all about the benefits of training for the brain and how much more productive we get from training. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that recommendation. I'm an avid book reader. I will definitely download it and have a listen, because I always listen to all of my books. So hopefully they've got an audio version. But if anybody's listening, that's a really great recommendation. Actually, it's not the first time that I've heard somebody recommend that book.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And just on that note, I also think that a cool idea could be, even if it's perhaps once a month, which I do from time to time, teaching a corporate yoga class for businesses where staff are just given 1 hour together during the workday to do a yoga class. And that's normally really appreciated as well. So it could be things like that, having once a month, just an hour together during the workday to do whatever exercise. It could be yoga, it could be a boxing instructor coming in, or doing a boot camp together, or whatever aligns with the business.
That is a great team building activity. Some really great ideas today. Thank you so much, Alex. And thank you so much for coming on our podcast. It was a real pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Beauté by ABIC podcast, your online support community for the aesthetic and beauty industry. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay connected.